I had to end that thing while I still had some wind left. I was going to fall over there. Anyways, so thank you all for joining us for this year's edition of the Holiday Show. It's going to be a little different this year. And actually, before I start, let me change my glasses so I can see what I'm dealing with here. Those glasses were just for effect. There we go. This will be better. Whoa! My God! Look at this. Not what I expected. Not what I left just before that. Anyways, as I said, this year's show is going to be a little bit different. Duncan, you don't have to worry. It's not going to be the pictures from last year. Anybody remember those? He certainly remembers. He reminds me all the time. However, please be reminded, and you know this, that I do have a few incriminating photos, which I'm ready to post online at any time, should you get out of line. So I expect you to act accordingly, make sure my glass does not get empty, and we'll get along fine. Okay? Thank you very much. As I said, it's going to be a different type of show, but what would a show be without a few words about Lenro? Anybody want to hear any of that? Yeah. You know, we heard the brighter side of him earlier. Want to hear something else? Anybody want that sort of thing? Okay, here we go. All right. So, Larry, you know, Larry's a good team player. He's a good guy. I actually like him, despite what you're about to hear. And he can take a joke and close anybody else. So let's test that theory and see what happens here. So he calls me into his office the other day. He says, "Andy, I think I've lost my mind." I said, "Wow, and that poor guy that found that thing, how would he know what to do with it?" You know, there you go. So then he says, "You know, I'll tell you what, I got a bunch of donuts here. I'd like to split one of these donuts with you. I tell you what, why don't we make it like it's a wishbone? We'll pull it apart, and whoever gets the bigger piece gets his wish." So we pull the thing apart. I got the bigger piece. Didn't work. He was still there. What else? Hey, I got $1 million. So it was I go to a Bowmer event with him. He brings me up. He says, "You know, here's a former student of mine." The student says to me, "Oh, so I hear that you've been working with Larry for a long time." I said, "You really have to ask me that? Take a look at me. What are you kidding me?" There's another book. There's another book. So I finally found a way to render him speechless, if you can believe that. He says, "Andy, I got to have these 7 things done here today." I said, "Well, would you mind if I did them immediately?" He didn't know what to say. Well, picture this, right? 3 Irish guys are leaving a bar. Hey, it could happen. Nothing to do with Lenro. I just like that joke. But there is one story that's kind of grown throughout the years that I actually got some requests to tell this story earlier. It has to do with the year 2000 and all the Y2K stuff that we had back then. Remember that? There was all this scare about if things going to break down in the year 2000 when the clock flips. You know, who knows? But you can imagine, as in true Lenro fashion, we had to catalog every single piece of equipment that we had, anything that was in danger of maybe having a problem when the clock ticked. You know, it was pumps, it was HVAC, time clock, electrical, switch panels. But one thing, and we had voluminous things. I mean, I saved this thing. It's like this thick. It's still in, I haven't thrown it into recycling. We had huge backup on what might go wrong in that year. So anyways, there was particular concern about elevators, because when we looked online, elevators were not able to be conclusively diagnosed as maybe having a problem. So it was decided that on New Year's Eve of 1999 going to 2000, we should be on site in these various locations, have an elevator mechanic, we had an HVAC mechanic, an electrician, and so forth, in case anything goes wrong. And the idea with our team at the time is that we'll pair up and have different people together. So that we'll have a couple of people. So I must have joined the short straw. I ended up with Lenro that year. And we go out and we're going to High Street that year. So we go in there and we're waiting. We're going to go into the elevator and make sure that it's working. It suddenly occurs to me as it's approaching 12 o'clock and I'm about to enter the elevator with Larry. I'm saying, what happens if this thing gets stuck? What am I going to do here? Are we out of our minds? So anyways, we go in there. We're standing in the elevator trying to make sure what's going to happen. And as you know, that was a special night for many people. You know, everybody. People included. Yeah, it was me included. People wanted to be with their loved ones, their significant others, their family, whatever. So at the stroke of midnight, going into the year 2000, where am I? I'm standing in an elevator at 200 High Street, staring into Lenro's eyes. I'll let you all finish the story. I have to take a tap, but that was about it. Anyways, we have something a little different for you tonight here. We have the Ready for Any Time players. We're going to do a little type of skit for you. And it's a little rough around the edges, but what is it? You know, all right, so ladies and gentlemen of the cast, we get ready.